For a show that was about nothing, Seinfeld had pretty complicated plots and subplots. Most of the episodes were based on the life and experiences of the show's co-creators, Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David. The character of Cosmo Kramer was inspired by Kenny Kramer, Seinfeld's real-life neighbor. Though audiences took some time to develop a liking for the show, once they did, it didn't take long for Seinfeld to become a cultural phenomenon. During its 9-year run, the show was nominated for a total of 68 Emmys and 110. Despite the on-screen relationships exuding love and camaraderie, the cast did not always get along well behind the scenes, leading to some dark secrets. In this video, we explore these lesser-known facts about the Seinfeld cast. Julia Louis-Dreyfus cried at the idea of her character being shown as fat. During the 9-year run of Seinfeld, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who played Elaine, became pregnant twice. When she was pregnant during the show's production, the team managed to hide her growing baby bump. However, when Jerry Seinfeld suggested showing Elaine gaining weight during her second pregnancy, it upset Julia so much that she cried on the set. Jerry dropped the idea, and Julia later regretted not going ahead with it. Julia Louis-Dreyfus was often targeted by Roseanne Barr and her husband. The success of Seinfeld had a negative impact on the show Roseanne, leading to tension between the two casts. Julia Louis-Dreyfus once inadvertently parked her car in Tom Arnold's parking spot, leading to an expletive-filled note from him. Roseanne Barr's husband went even further and insulted Julia on a talk show, creating unnecessary animosity between the two shows' casts. Apparently, Lee Garlington was written out because Larry David disapproved of her. Lee Garlington was initially cast to play the role of Claire, the main female lead in the pilot episode. However, she was written out of the show, with rumors suggesting that it was due to her giving too many suggestions to Larry David or because NBC executives wanted a stronger female lead. The exact reason remains unclear. Heidi Swedberg was killed because she was impossible to work with. Heidi Swedberg, who portrayed George Costanza's fiancée Susan, reportedly had difficulty working with Jason Alexander, George. The chemistry between them on screen was not as smooth as desired, and eventually, Larry David and Julia Louis-Dreyfus suggested Susan's character should be killed off. The idea was well received by Larry, leading to Susan's dramatic exit from the show. Both Julia and Alexander were threatened by each other. Jason Alexander, George, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Elaine, were both threatened by each other's screen time and jokes. Alexander felt worried about less screen time due to Elaine's increasing role, while Julia was concerned about male actors getting better jokes. The actors' insecurities affected their relationships on set. Everyone was scared of the actor who played Elaine's dad. Lawrence Tierney, who portrayed Elaine's dad, was known for being quite intimidating off-screen. He carried a butcher knife with him everywhere, and on one occasion, he even pretended to stab Jerry Seinfeld during a conversation about the knife. His behavior led the producers to write off his character from the show. Jerry's friend Michael Costanza claimed he was the inspiration behind George Costanza. Michael Costanza, a real-life friend of Jerry Seinfeld, believed that he was the inspiration behind George Costanza's character. He even sued Seinfeld for $100 million, claiming his privacy had been violated. The court dismissed his claim. 2 NBC executives were hell-bent on getting the show canceled. The Chinese restaurant episode almost led to the cancellation of the show. NBC executives Rick Ludwig and Jeremiah Boscong found the episode plotless and wanted to scrap it. However, Larry David convinced them that the episode fit the show's larger theme, ultimately saving the episode and the show. The Soup Nazi banned all cast members from his eatery. The Soup Nazi character was based on Ali al-Yagana. After watching the episode featuring the Soup Nazi, Yagana banned the entire Seinfeld cast from his eatery and held a grudge against them for years. NBC offered to pay Seinfeld $5 million per episode for season 10. Despite initial doubts about the show, Seinfeld became extremely popular. After season 9, NBC offered Jerry Seinfeld $5 million per episode to do a season 10. However, Seinfeld chose to end the show on a high note, maintaining its integrity rather than prolonging it for money. Seinfeld, a show about nothing, became a cultural phenomenon with complicated plots and witty humor. While the on-screen relationships were endearing, the cast faced various challenges off-screen, leading to tension and disputes. Despite these issues, Seinfeld remains an integral part of pop culture and is fondly remembered by its fans.